11 properties across 3 continents, each worth over $50 million, and everyone was simply left behind. Furniture still arranged in sitting rooms, chandeliers boxed in storage, never reopened. Portraits hanging in galleries no one has entered in years. They walked away, and no one came back. From Gilded Age palaces and billionaire estates to ghost skyscrapers frozen mid-construction, this list reveals what death, scandal, fraud, and financial collapse leave behind when wealth disappears overnight. It begins in Pennsylvania, with a 62,000 square foot mansion where an American fortune is still gathering dust. Number 1. Linwood Hall stands as a colossal relic of the Gilded Age, once the private domain of the Widener family, and now abandoned in plain sight. Spanning 62,000 square feet with 65 rooms, this Pennsylvania mansion was built in 1900 for a fortune that, at its peak, would be worth over $450 million today. Marble staircases rise from the ground floor, their surfaces dulled by decades of dust and rain seeping through collapsed sections of the roof. Murano glass chandeliers, once blazing with light above grand balls, are boxed or missing, but a handful of original portraits still hang in the second-floor gallery. Faces of a dynasty that vanished after Titanic-era tragedy and a string of legal disasters remain visible. The private theatre's organ console remains, silent and rusting, while the estate's vast gallery halls echo with nothing but the sound of dripping water. Condemned in 1977 after the trust could no longer pay the tax bill, Linwood Hall's opulent interiors were left to rot. A palace built to last forever, and now a monument to how even the grandest displays of wealth can become liabilities, with priceless artifacts and memories still locked inside. In second place, the Versailles Mansion in Windermere, Florida, stands as the most ambitious unfinished home in modern American history, a 58,000 square foot monument to billionaire aspiration. Now suspended in silence, conceived by David Siegel as a modern echo of the French palace, the project broke ground in 2004, fueled by a fortune built on a $12 billion initial public offering. The design called for 78 rooms, a grand staircase clad in Antoine Garrick marble, and a 3,200 crystal chandelier, sourced from the same atelier that once supplied Versailles itself. Boussac silk wall coverings line unfinished salons, their colors fading under tarps as sunlight leaks through incomplete windows. The property's private dock still holds a 120-foot yacht, now streaked with rust, while a beachfront heliport sits idle, weeds pushing through the cracks. Construction came to a sudden halt in 2008, when the global financial crisis wiped out Siegel's liquidity. A high-profile divorce compounded the turmoil, transferring partial ownership and triggering a cascade of mortgage defaults and foreclosure filings between 2010 and 2016. Appraisal reports once valued the estate at $115 million. But today, the interiors remain frozen mid-installation. Chandeliers boxed in storage, luxury appliances wrapped in plastic, and the ballroom's gold-leafed parquet sealed off from view. The house is neither lived in nor stripped. Instead, it exists in a state of suspended animation, guarded by security but open to the slow encroachment of humidity and neglect. The Versailles Mansion captures the spectacle of a billionaire's dream interrupted, its unfinished halls and untouched luxury serving as a stark reminder that even the grandest visions of permanence can be reduced to a silent, abandoned shell when the forces of finance and fate collide. Third on our list, the Sathorn Unique Tower rises above Bangkok as a monument to ambition frozen by financial collapse. Conceived as a 73-floor luxury condominium with 350 units and a projected value exceeding $250 million. The tower was meant to offer private skydeck pools, a 5-star restaurant, and a marble-clad lobby crowned by a commissioned Lalique chandelier. Construction advanced to the 30th floor, where work halted abruptly in 2008 amid a tightening credit market and a court-ordered bankruptcy freeze. Today, the unfinished concrete frame looms over the city, its exposed steel corroding in the tropical air. Inside, high-end kitchens and marble floors stand rusted and half-installed, silent evidence of a vanished era of speculation. The grand lobby remains scattered with boxed fixtures and marketing brochures, never opened for residents. Declared dangerous by Thai authorities in 2009, the tower's empty halls and stalled luxury fittings reveal how even the most ambitious projects, designed to project permanence, can be left in limbo, with tens of millions in materials and dreams abandoned in plain sight. Number 4. Villa de Vecchi stands on the shores of Lake Como as a Renaissance revival masterpiece now locked in a legal freeze. Built in 1902 for Baroness Isabella de Vecchi, the villa grew into a 42,000 square feet labyrinth of frescoed halls, Carrara marble staircases, and a private opera house that once echoed with music. At its zenith, the estate was valued at 75 million euros, with a wine cellar carved into limestone rock holding over 10,000 bottles from the villa's own vineyards. The dining hall's 54-foot baccarat chandelier still glimmers above dust-covered tables, while the opera house's stage curtains have been replaced with silk replicas, waiting for an audience that never returns. After its sale to Nihon Real Estate in 1995, the Asian financial crisis hit, and a 1997 default left the property in limbo. Restoration files from the Italian ministry detail water-damaged frescoes, now stabilized, but entire rooms remain untouched, their contents frozen by ongoing court disputes. Here, aristocratic luxury collides with the realities of global finance, leaving behind not only architectural grandeur, but also a silent record of vanished wealth, an abandoned mansion with everything left inside, its fate suspended between heritage and insolvency. Number 5. The Pinnacle Mansion stands alone in the Montana wilderness, a 30,000 square foot Beaux-Arts estate that once signaled the height of rural American luxury. Built in 1912 for copper magnate John C. Pinnacle, the property stretches across 50 acres and includes a private lake, a helicopter landing pad, and most remarkably, a full-size indoor riding arena. The grand ballroom still shelters a 30-foot Swarovski crystal chandelier, now draped in a tarp to protect it from water leaking through the compromised roof. French oak paneling and a marble balustrade staircase recall the mansion's Gilded Age ambitions. But the silence is broken only by the hum of climate control in the stables and the echo of footsteps on warped arena floors. When Rockridge Capital acquired the property in 1999, their plan to convert it into a luxury resort unraveled with the 2008 financial crisis. Bankruptcy filings in 2010 froze all redevelopment, leaving the mansion in receivership. Inside, a firearms vault remains locked and untouched. Family portraits line the hallways, and the specialized amenities, once symbols of wealth, have become obstacles to any easy repurposing. Here, the evidence of private equity collapse is not just paperwork, but a vast, empty estate, caught between wilderness and vacancy, with everything left inside. Number 6. Casa Casuarina captures the moment when celebrity and tragedy collided with legal authority, freezing a world of luxury in place. Gianni Versace transformed this Miami Beach mansion into a gilded palace, installing a 70-foot ballroom ceiling finished in gold leaf and an indoor pool lined with custom mosaics. At its peak in the mid-1990s, the property was valued at $30 million, hosting fashion's elite beneath frescoed ceilings and beside marble-clad walls. That illusion of permanence shattered on July 15, 1997, when Versace was murdered at the front steps, and the estate was suddenly sealed as evidence. Federal agents boxed up fixtures, stored original art, and catalogued Versace-designed furniture, turning the mansion into a legal time capsule. Probate and Department of Justice documents reveal that while some artworks were auctioned to satisfy tax liens, many of the original furnishings remained locked away, untouched. The silence of those months, gilded rooms under lock and key, the indoor pool drained but unchanged, underscores how even the most extravagant environments can be reduced to legal inventory overnight. When the property was finally auctioned in 1999, the dispersal of art and the conversion into a hotel marked the end of Versace's original vision. Casa Casuarina stands as evidence that no amount of wealth or fame can shield a sanctuary from the forces of scandal and state power, leaving behind a mansion worth millions, its glamour and tragedy preserved in the details. Number 7. The Nara Dreamland VIP Residences captures the surreal quiet of luxury left behind inside a forgotten amusement park. Conceived in the mid-1990s as a boutique retreat for corporate partners and high-profile guests, this complex of 8 designer duplexes once represented the height of mid-century modern living in Japan. Each apartment, sized between 3,500 and 5,200 square feet, offered private plunge pools, floor-to-ceiling glass, and hinoki wood paneling, a level of detail rarely seen outside the world's most exclusive hotels. The rooftop heliport, now overtaken by weeds, once promised direct access from Tokyo. Inside, Eames lounge chairs and custom tatami mats remain coated in dust, untouched since the park's abrupt closure in 2006. The collapse of Dreamland's finances, with losses topping 12 billion yen by 2004, forced the company to close the site and leave the residences locked, their wine coolers rusting and home cinemas silent. Today, the Saitama government lists the block as a hazardous site, its faded designer furniture and ruined saunas standing as a record of a vanished corporate elite. Here, the contrast between curated opulence and present decay is stark. A themed luxury enclave, abandoned with everything left inside, frozen by economic collapse and legal disputes. 8th place, the Hageler Karas Mansion's East Wing in Illinois stands as a rare case where luxury was never even unwrapped. The main house, a 30,000 square foot Second Empire landmark, operates as a museum filled with original Gilded Age furnishings. But just steps away, the unfinished East Wing tells a different story. A 10,000 square foot expansion halted by scandal in 1998. Here, gold-plated laboratory fixtures and marble countertops sit boxed and uninstalled, their intended purpose frozen by a 1997 audit that exposed misallocated endowment funds. An injunction from the Illinois Attorney General locked the site, leaving exposed marble slabs, rusting HVAC ducts, and water-damaged ceilings. Condition surveys show that while the main house is preserved, the abandoned wing has suffered years of water intrusion and neglect. The contrast is stark. One side welcomes visitors, the other remains sealed, a forensic record of institutional mismanagement where tens of millions in high-end materials were left to decay, never used, never seen. Number 9. El Furadis stands on the California coast as a Mediterranean-style mansion where silence has become a repeating pattern. Built in 1919 for a railroad magnate, the estate spans 45,000 square feet and once hosted extravagant gatherings under Saudi royal ownership. At its peak, El Furadis was valued at $75 million. Its interiors defined by hand-carved limestone, a Tuscan marble staircase, and a grand ballroom crowned by a Lalique crystal chandelier. Yet, despite its pedigree, the mansion has cycled through long stretches of vacancy, each episode freezing its opulence in place. From 1994 to 1999, a drawn-out probate battle left the estate empty. And again, from 2009 to 2013, planned renovations halted as financial losses mounted. Inside, the hydraulic retractable roof tennis court sits dormant, its mechanisms offline. The chandelier's facets are dulled by years of dust, and the once vibrant art gallery stands in limbo, its borrowed Renaissance paintings long since returned. Probate and renovation files reveal that while the structure remains sound, the interior has suffered from neglect, with cracked plasterwork, faded murals, and unused service quarters. El Faridis never fully collapsed, but its repeated dormancy has preserved a kind of suspended luxury, a mansion worth over $50 million where the trappings of wealth remain locked in cycles of abandonment, untouched and waiting for another return to life. In the 10th place, Stokesay Court stands as a rare case where disaster gave way to a complicated restoration, rather than permanent ruin. This 48,000 square foot Jacobean mansion in Shropshire was gutted by fire in 1977, an electrical fault igniting a blaze that consumed the east wing and destroyed the private theatre and guest suites. For nearly 2 decades, the house remained dormant, its grand ballroom silent, the air thick with the scent of charred oak. Water damage spread through closed-off corridors, and the once-renowned Victorian Library, home to 12,000 volumes, was locked behind warped doors, its shelves untouched. The William Hill and Son organ survived, but the sound of its pipes faded into memory as the house slipped into partial abandonment. Restoration began only after a prolonged fundraising campaign, with the National Trust balancing the cost of authenticity against the need to reopen the estate. By 2003, the gold leaf ceiling of the ballroom was recreated from historic photographs, a synthetic finish standing in for the lost original. The library reopened, its oak shelving polished back to life, while the private theatre was rebuilt with a modern projection system, but preserved the original organ and some scorched panelling as a reminder of what was lost. Today, Stokesay Court welcomes visitors once more, but the debate over authenticity lingers, restored grandeur set against the irreversible loss of original fabric. Here, the silence of abandonment has been replaced by careful stewardship, yet the scars of fire and decades of emptiness remain visible, a testament to both the fragility and resilience of extreme wealth. And finally, in first place, the Ryugyong Hotel towers over Pyongyang as the ultimate symbol of abandoned ambition on a scale that dwarfs every private mansion on this list. Rising 330 meters, its pyramidal silhouette was designed to dominate the city skyline and announce North Korea's arrival on the world stage. Conceived in 1987 as a showcase of national prestige, the Ryugyong was intended to house 3,000 luxury hotel rooms, multiple restaurants, and a revolving dining hall perched on the 105th floor, an engineering feat meant to rival the world's greatest skyscrapers. Yet inside, nearly 2 million square feet remain mostly untouched concrete, a silent expanse of emptiness where wealth and power were supposed to feel permanent. The story of the Ryugyong is a study in how the collapse of a political and economic system can freeze even the grandest projects in time. Construction surged ahead until 1992, when the loss of Soviet support and a nationwide famine brought work to an abrupt halt. By then, the structure had reached 180 meters, but the interior was left bare. No finished suites, no marble bathrooms, just the skeletal framework of a dream. For more than 15 years, the building stood as a hollow shell, its windows unglazed and its concrete floors gathering dust, a forbidden monument visible from every corner of the capital. In 2008, a renewed push saw the facade clad in mirrored glass. and by 2011, the exterior was complete. Yet behind the polished surface, the story remained unchanged. Satellite imagery and diplomatic reports confirm that only a handful of lower-level suites have ever been partially fitted out, each containing a scattering of European-style furniture and a single chandelier. The grand plans for luxury, crystal chandeliers, bespoke carpets, marble columns, never left their shipping crates, instead warehoused in government storage, waiting for a future that never arrived. The rotating restaurant at the summit remains a concrete shell, its mechanical core installed, but the dining room itself empty, an idea suspended in mid-air. Official statements occasionally promise a grand opening, but the reality is that the Ryugyong's interior is still a vast, unfinished labyrinth. The corridors echo with nothing but the wind, and the only signs of human presence are the boxed fixtures and sealed-off mechanical rooms. The sheer scale of abandonment here is unmatched. Not just a mansion or a palace, but an entire vertical city left uninhabited, worth billions on paper and yet functionally worthless. Where other properties on this list tell stories of family tragedy, financial collapse, or legal dispute, the Ryugyong stands as a national monument to vanished resources and ambitions too large to ever be reclaimed. In the silence of its empty halls, the Ryugyong Hotel brings the documentary's thesis into sharpest focus. Extreme wealth can build structures meant to last forever, but when the forces that sustain them fail, even the most monumental visions can be reduced to a shell, abandoned, unfinished, and filled with the ghostly presence of everything left inside. Here, the illusion of permanence is shattered on a scale that is impossible to ignore. Across all 11 abandoned mega-mansions, one pattern stands out. Wealth, no matter how monumental, is never guaranteed to last. Decay seeps into marble halls just as easily as into modest homes. Even spaces built to feel eternal, worth over $50 million with everything left inside, prove startlingly fragile. These estates remind us, permanence is always an illusion. Which property surprised you most? Let us know in the comments.